Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon to all our viewers and listeners all over the world. And you are welcome once again to the Delali Network. I am your host. My name is Sylvester Delali. And today we are diving into a very powerful conversation and success story. We are joined by a UBC alumnus who made the leap from student life into the corporate world and did it with purpose. He is here to share the lessons, the hurdles, and the strategies that shaped his journey. So, if you are a student, a recent graduate, or just curious about navigating the job market after school, this conversation is for you. Let's get started. And please remember to share the link and invite all your friends to also join and listen to his success story. My good brother, you're welcome. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you very much. I'm doing great, and yourself?
Yeah, I'm also doing very well. Okay.
Sweet.
Kindly introduce yourself to our audience who are listening on all our three platforms.
All right. So thank you for the opportunity. So my name is Mahmoud Samfo. Currently, I'm the industrial hygiene coordinator for Vale Canada Limited at the Manitoba Operations, specifically at the Thompson Mines. I am a graduate of the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, where I had master's degree in occupational and environmental hygiene. So basically, this is a little about me. But then as we delve into the conversation, we'll get to know more.
Okay, so let's just get started. In which year did you come to Canada?
So I got to Canada on September 2022. That's when I first came to Canada.
Okay, so prior to coming to Canada, what were you doing in Ghana?
So before coming to Canada to pursue my studies, I was basically working with BCM Ghana Limited, which is a mining contracting company operating on the Goldfields Takwa operations. So I was basically the health, safety, and environmental officer, and I worked with them for a period of 2 years, 2.5 years before moving to Canada.
Okay, which university did you graduate in Ghana?
I attended the University of Mines and Technology, popularly known as UMAT. So that's where I graduated from.
Okay, and what did you study? What was your GPA when you finished school, if you don't mind sharing with us?
So I did pursue BSc in Environmental and Safety Engineering, where I had a CWA. We used the CWA system, so I had a CWA of 83.7%.
Okay, so that's like a first class, if I'm right.
Yeah, that's first class honors, yes.
Okay. So is it because you wanted to study in Canada or you wanted to come to abroad? That is why you were motivated to study hard in school?
Well, when I was in school, I didn't even have the intention of pursuing further studies outside Ghana, right? From
Okay.
where I'm coming from, I've always strived to be among the best. And that motivated me to study hard, take my studies seriously. And then, we had this thing where we called the Dean's List. So I promised myself to be on that Dean's List. And yes, so basically that motivated me to, do well in my academics to be part of that group.
Okay. So since you mentioned that it wasn't even part of your plan to travel and study abroad, what then motivated you to take this path or this leap of faith of coming in to Canada to come and study?
Well, to be honest with you, it wasn't like I wasn't doing well in Ghana. I was actually doing well in Ghana, but then I had a senior colleague who was actually a student of UBC as of that time. So he was also actually pursuing the same program that I pursued at UBC.
Okay. What
But then
program is that?
Masters in Occupation and Environmental Hygiene.
Okay.
So proud to having conversations with him. The mining industry was actually changing because we were having aging workforce, and then there were advanced technology and then everything. And then I realized that in Ghana, like, we have some gaps in some of the technological advancement. And then the only way to fill in that gap was to, like, pursue higher studies. And then with my field of study, I actually made some inquiries, and then I realized that in Ghana, it was only in Legon, University of Ghana, that they were pursuing industrial hygiene. But then GS was basically like, knowledge based, like that is more like theory. There wasn't that blend of like, theory and then practicals. And anybody coming out from UMath basically understand what I'm saying. So UMath, we actually had the opportunity to experience a blend between practically oriented education and then theoretical. So it was very easy for you to relate whatever you are learning in school practically. So I was just looking at something which is practically oriented. So that is why I then decided to, like, widen my scope outside the borders of Ghana.
Okay. Talking about UBC, that is University of British Columbia. I know it's one of the topmost schools in Canada. I think among the first 5 or first 7, when mentioned, UBC will pop up. How were you able to get admitted into this prestigious institution and this prestigious program?
Well, to be honest, the admission stage was very competitive, very, 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 very competitive. I remember, like, I had a chance to speak with the graduate student coordinator, and then she gave me some basic statistics, that is the years before. So
Okay.
she actually made me understood that every year UBC receive about 2,000 of applications all over the world, and they only admit like between 10 to 15 students for that program. So it was very competitive, very, very, very competitive. So one of the things that I believe made my application stood out has to do with not only the academic performance though, but then the relevant work experience, and then the recommendations that I got from my professors and then my work superiors, I think was the game changer. And then also my SOP, the SOP that I wrote for the admission,
Okay.
that made my application, overall application, stood out.
Okay. So when you talk about your SOP, like what do you think made it exceptional for your application to stand out to the graduate committee?
Well, I think what the admissions committee of every university is looking at in your application has to do with your motivation, what actually inspired you to pursue that program. That the program aligns with your both your short-term and then long-term career goals or what have you. So I think I did due diligence to those two areas, and like I said, what actually motivated me to pursue master's program, and then whether it was going to address challenges which will benefit the nation as a whole, or it was just for individual benefit.
Okay. So aside University of British Columbia, did you secure admission to like other schools in Canada and maybe other schools in other parts of the world?
So I started this journey basically. So I started with the US, where I had admission from Vanderbilt University, which is a private university in the US, and then also New Mexico State University. So the Vanderbilt University.
What programs did you get admitted into?
Well, so before then, I had interest of, like, because of this galamsey issue in Ghana. So basically staying in Takwa for some time, I got to realize that most of the water bodies were like, getting polluted from mercury and then other heavy metals as a result of galamseyers or small scale miners, like, discharging their influence directly into these water bodies. So one of the key things, I had a discussion with one of my professors where I was looking at making a homemade, like, coming out with a homemade solution, which will actually, like, clean, because most of the water bodies were very turbid. So I was just trying to look at a pragmatic way when you can, like, actually bioremediate this waters to make it safe for people downstream, especially villages where they don't have access to clean and then potable water.
Okay.
So I began to do more research, and then my research interest was basically in environmental engineering. So I reached out to some schools, some professors, that is Vanderbilt University, where I had a thorough discussion with a faculty member, and then I got the opportunity to pursue environmental engineer. It was basically civil engineering, but then my specialty was environmental and then water resource engineering. And then the same thing also applies to the New Mexico State University. But like I said, I also had friends in the US where we're talking about life after school and then everything. And like it actually demotivated me to shift away from the US to Canada because like it was like basically when you're done with school, you need an employer. That was what I was basically told initially, that you need an employer to actually sponsor you for your H1B and then what have you. But then when I actually turned my attention to Canada, I realized that wasn't the same for Canada. Canada, once you're done with school, you get your PGWP and you're on your own, and then like you decide who you want to work with or which company you want to actually work with. So I realized that there was more flexibility in Canada. So in Canada, I actually applied to Queen's University in Ontario and then McGill University in Quebec and
Okay.
then UBC. So when I applied to these three schools, I actually got admitted to all these three schools. So the Queen's University came first, but then with Queen's University, because I was working in the mining industry, I found some love and some kind of passion for mining engineering. Although technically my background was not in mining engineering for my undergraduate studies. So
Okay.
we all did basic engineering, which introduced us to some basic concepts of mining engineering. But then technically, I wasn't a mining engineer by the profession. Yes. So I wanted to pursue, and then I had a discussion with my superior at work, and then they actually informed me that you have to master your skill. And then my skill was in safety, and I was actually doing well with environmental and safety engineering. So then I decided to reject the offer from Queen's University and then pay attention to that of McGill University and then UBC. So when I compared the packages, that is the admission package for both McGill and then UBC, UBC gave me two financial offers. Let me put it that way. That is scholarships. So one was based on overall academic performance from my undergraduate studies, and then the other one was international tuition award. So I actually went for the UBC one over the McGill. And then also looking at the course structure and then everything, comparing UBC to McGill, you could see that there is a vast difference between those two schools. So that actually got me more inclined to UBC over McGill.
Okay. A quick one. With regard to UBC, were they were you having like other Africans in the program, or you were the only African, or you were the only person from Ghana in the program? If you can clarify that.
So in terms of the application, I can't say blanketly that maybe I was the only African who applied. Definitely, I knew there were other people from other African countries who actually applied for the program, right? But then I was the only Ghanaian in there. So later on, there was another Nigerian lady who came, but she was doing research. We were in the same department, but then her program line was different. She's still in school and she'll be graduating this November. But then
Okay.
we used to take some courses. But then when it comes to the course-based program, I was the only African and then the only Ghanaian in the program, and then we were in a class of 11, and I was the only, so including that lady, we were 11. But then technically, like I said, she wasn't part of our class because she was into research-based program, and then we were actually doing co-op-based program. So we were technically 10, yes.
How did you navigate issues of recommendation letters during your graduate school application? Because some schools request for like two or three, depending on the program. And also, per the information you've given us so far, it looked as if you applied to more than six schools. How were you able to navigate the hurdle of recommendation letters?
Well, I think during my undergraduate studies, I maintained good relationship with my professors because I knew even if for no reason, one day or maybe sometime in my life, I would definitely reach back to them for some form of assistance, whether to ask for a favor for maybe a family member or whatever. So, like, I maintain good and then cordial relationship with them. So, from time to time, I have most of them. I have their contacts and still used to test them as and when necessary. Most of my peers had this belief that once I'm done with school, that is it. Like, I don't care about a professor or whatever. But then I had a different thoughts about it. So, like I said, anytime I put in that request that I need recommendation, they don't hesitate. There were instances where some of my friends actually requested for recommendation letters, and some of the professors, okay, Write to me what you want me to write for you. But in
Okay.
my case, that wasn't it. As soon as I put in the request, I said, don't worry, consider it done. And then they always do a good job because, like, if I look at myself and look at all the admissions that I got, including that of the schools in the US, overall, like the applications were like about 10 because there were instances where I was getting application fee waiver. So I was just throwing in the applications and I got all of them. So, like, for me, I felt like it was maintaining that good relationship with them, even after school, that actually did help. And then, like UBC, we were requested to have three recommendations. That is two academic, and then one professional. So professional is basically your place of work.
Okay.
And like I said, during my time when I was working at BCM, like everybody who has actually worked in BCM can attest to what I'm saying. Like, I had good relationship with all levels of the workforce. That is from the shop floor guys to top management. So getting recommendation wasn't like, it's like just place the request and then you just get it done the next day.
Okay. So, as a beginner who wanted to study abroad, I believe there were certain things you looked at and there were certain steps you took. There are people listening to us right now, over 100 people listening to us from all our trade platforms, that is YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter, that is X. What advice do you have to people who are now planning their graduate study journey, especially looking at how things are going in some countries now with regards to immigration, like the US, Canada? Someone who wants to start graduate school, the person is like blank. The person has no information. How is the person going to start? What are some of the steps the person can take in order to succeed so that the person can do it by himself or herself? If you can give us some insights.
Well, I believe there have been a shift in global dynamics. Like there have been a tremendous change, like in the whole world right now. So the first step, like every aspiring, like student or every aspiring graduate student should be considering has to do with first know your purpose, know
Okay.
what you can do, and then also consider the job market. You know, some time back, everybody had this perception of just trying to japa. So with japa, you didn't care whether you were going to do dontology, oncology, or whatever, because the
Okay.
intention was just to japa. But then a lot of people, I would say, have regretted that decision that they should have at that time plan properly and then choose the right programs which would have propelled them, like, both professionally and then academically, and then in terms of career wise, would have propelled them to, like, to the top.
Okay. So by
So
extension, are you saying if someone should come and study dontology, it's not a good program?
I'm you are trying to put words in my mouth. I'm not saying hey, odontology, coming to pursue odontology or other programs is not a good program.
Okay.
Like I
Just
said,
let's
know
continue.
yourself, know your purpose, and then know what you can do, right? Because if you don't have passion in what you are doing, at the end of the day, you are going to fail amicably. That one, there's
So
no two ways about it.
the keyword
That
here
is
is
why,
passion.
come again?
The keyword here is passion, having passion for what you want
Yes,
to do.
yes.
Okay.
Because I remember I had friends, they were being forced to go to school, but then they wanted to actually learn how to drive, commercial driving, right? But then
Yes.
their parents were forcing them to go to school. At the end of the day, they came to school, graduate, like completed senior high school, and then went back to the driving. And now they are doing well in the driving. So had it been that maybe they were actually forced to do the driving like at the initial stages, and now some of them are, I won't say millionaires, they are doing well in life, right?
Okay.
Because the most important thing is providing for yourself and then your family, and then also be able to assist for others. That is how we measure success, right?
Okay.
You don't need $2 million in your account before somebody can refer to you as being successful.
Okay.
So it's all about the passion. Some people have passion in maths, others have passion in science, others have passion in IT, some have passion in health. Me like this, if you force me to be a medical doctor, I will do a terrible job because I have no zero passion for health, right? Mine has to do with engineering, like, that field. And I believe it also works the same way for everybody. Everybody has what they have interest in. So first, know your purpose, know what you have passion in, right? And then you need to prepare adequately. Now, with the preparation thing that you talked about, the fact that you want to pursue higher studies doesn't mean every program is good for you. Sometimes I understand people think, okay, let me use this program as a stepping stone just to get into just to Japan, right? But then you realize that you come and then you waste about 2 years or more to complete a program. And then the job market then becomes another headache for you. You try, because I currently, as I speak, I know people personally who are still struggling to get a job like Uber some years now. They've completed their studies. Some did master's degree, some did diploma, some did other forms of programs. But then it's been 2 years now. Some are still surviving on Uber, McDonald's, and then but that wasn't the intention. That was, if they knew that would have been the outcome, I'm not sure they would have taken that decision in the first place. So it's about knowing what you can do and then knowing what will help your career in the future. Because at the end of the day, like I said, we all want to see ourselves prosperous and then able to make difference in people's life and then whatever you. So first, you need to actually look at the program structure. Like I said, there are some programs, it's not meant for everybody. There are some programs, there is a blend in them. There are some programs that the course load is very minimal. There are some programs that the course load is very heavy and thick.
Okay.
So you should know all these things, because when it comes to graduate school, it's no joke. If you are not performing, some departments will kick you out, especially the universities on the higher end, the very competitive schools. If you are not performing academically, especially where they are giving you maybe scholarships or funding or whatever, if you are not keeping up to the standard, you'll be kicked out, and nobody wants that. The next thing you have to do has to do with after identifying a program which you feel will help you, is have to look at the course requirement.
Okay.
Currently in Canada, I believe Canada doesn't require maybe those standardized tests like TOEFL, GMAT, not for all programs. And I still believe there are some programs, especially the business related programs. There are some which still requires TOEFL, SAT, and then those things, GMAT, and then those things. But then most of the schools in Canada don't take those kind of tests from people. But then some universities also request you to evaluate your transcript. Either you do worse evaluation or whatever. So you have to know the requirements.
Okay.
And in some schools, at the department website, they will tell you admission is very competitive. So the moment you see that keyword competitive, it means that you will be, it is like a probability, and you'll be 1 in a million. So your chances of getting admission depends on the package, the overall package that you are sending to them, right? So after getting to know all the requirements, you look at your academics too. Some schools will tell you that, okay, we need a GPA of this. Don't compromise. Don't say, oh, I had second class lower and they said maybe they need a GPA of 3.5 and I had second class lower. Maybe I might be able to get in. Sometimes it does work, like especially when you reach out to professors directly. Some of them can say, okay, maybe your academics is very bad, but looking at where you're coming from, maybe research papers that you've done and then some academic works that you've done, you are a perfect fit for me, and they will recommend you. But
Okay.
in other instances, especially the non-research based programs, they don't give those considerations. If they say minimum grade is 80, that is the cutoff point. Unless maybe they receive over 10,000 applications and everybody is below 80, that is where maybe they will revise the standard to let's say 75 or maybe 70. So you should know all these things. The next thing has to do with penning down a comprehensive SOP. There's no two ways about it. And there are so many ways to pen a very superb SOP. And like I said, whatever you know, somebody knows better than you. And two heads are better than one. So irrespective of what you put down, always get a second and a third eye to do a thorough review of your SOP for you. Like I said, there are some things that might excite you, but then it will be wrong in the face of others. So that is why it is important to give your SOP to other people to do review for you. When they review and they point out mistakes, then you address them accordingly. And then you also have to consider your application fee. which is also very important.
Okay.
Then the recommendation aspect, like I said, you have to make sure you have strong connections with the professors, your professors. I know there are instances where, especially like I'm talking in the perspective of top-notch schools, where maybe you might get scholarships or funding. Some other schools, they don't care about the recommendation. All they need is just the numbers. And especially if you look at what is happening in Canada, for instance, right now, where there is a cap and then everything, universities are trying to make sure that they make up for the losses they are incurring. So now I'm not sure they will be considering whether the SOP is genuine or not. I don't know. I'm not part of admission committee for
My
any university.
my
So
school still considers that.
okay, yes. But then the top-notch schools, like I said, especially like the provincial school, like those schools which were like the first, like UBC is the biggest university in British Columbia. They will never compromise on their standards that no matter what, then they would rather shut the school down than to compromise on their integrity. You understand? And I believe some schools will bend the rule for others. So you have to know all these nitty-gritties.
Okay.
Like,
So just a quick addition to the question I asked earlier. You see, with some of us, our minds are like a tabula rasa, like empty when it comes to this study abroad staffs.
yep.
Do you get it? So, what do you recommend we do? Because there's someone who knows that, oh, I can come and study USA, I can come and study in Canada, I can study in Europe, I can study in Germany, but that person also has, let's say, some of the documents available. But how will the person start? How did you do it? Did you join groups? Did you join meetings? Did you pay to an agency to mentor you so that you start? Like, how did you get the knowledge to begin this whole study abroad thing in the first place? How did you get the knowledge so that the over 100 people who are listening to us now can pick some insights and start from where they are now or continue from where they have gotten to?
Well, it's like in life, everybody needs someone to get to some
Okay.
point, right? And like I said, nobody knows it all. So no matter what you are doing, no matter what you have, you still need to ask people.
Okay.
But whatever you are doing, somebody has already done it, somebody has already passed that level. So it's not about being egoistic that, oh, I know my stuff and I know I can do it or whatever. No, even if you think you've done due diligence to whatever you are doing, still consult people.
Okay.
Like for me, for myself, like we all joined groups, and then throughout the groups, we created families. We get to know people, and then there are some things that we didn't know, or maybe we had wrong info about. But then when we joined the group, and then we started interacting, and then having like having intellectual discourse, we got to know that, oh, okay, this information is even deep. This is how we are supposed to do this. This is how. There were people when we met, they had visa refusals. But then with discussions with others who haven't even applied for visas before, they were able to provide info which actually worked for them in their reapplication, and then they got approved. That
Sure.
is the starting point. So then the point is, maybe you don't know, but then the thing is, I know one of the big things about we Ghanaians, I won't say Africans, is sometimes when we are doing some of these things, we try to keep it like a bit secret. Like you don't want people to know that this is the journey you intend to
Yeah.
pursue. So you try to hide it. But then the thing is, you don't have the strength, you don't have the capacity, you don't have the knowledge about the thing. So if you don't talk about it, how would you be able to know? You have to be assertive and firm. Talk to people. You can talk to the right people. Maybe there might be 100 people that you believe they can provide you with the necessary information that you need. You can do plus or one and then select like maybe 5 people that you feel like you trust, that when whatever you discuss with them will be confidential and then they will not disclose it to any person, right? Talk to them, share your info with them, share everything that you have with them. What actually worked for me after I got my visa approved, I did share everything. I attached every documentation that I used to help me secure my visa. I shared it. And at the end of the day, I don't care about what somebody uses it for, because it won't change the fact that I'm here. And because maybe the documentation I use is being leaked, I'll be told to go back to wherever I came from. Right? So that's
Okay.
the starting point. It's about talking to people, inquire more, ask. If you don't know, ask. Even the Bible even says, Say seek for it, you find it. Ask. If you don't know, just talk to people. Definitely there are people, because we're in Ghana, we had friends who were already like, in Canada, in US, in Europe. And then now every part of the world, Finland, Sweden, whatever, you will definitely get to know that maybe there's a Ghanaian or a Nigerian. And because we are all Africans, it's very easy to collaborate with them and then ask all the necessary information that you need. And then they will provide those info. And then you also take advantage and utilize it to the maximum for your own advantage. So ask. That's what I can say. Just ask people.
Okay, so if you are here and you are interested in beginning your study abroad journey, please ask the right people. As he said, join the right platforms. There are several platforms out there: WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, Twitter, or X. Just find those educative platforms and join and start learning from there. As he rightly said, we are in an information age now, and getting information is something which is very easy once you have a good phone with an internet connection. So let's take note of that. Okay, let's talk about whilst you were in school. But before then, navigating the financial aspect in terms of the school application, how much did you spend and how were you able to raise the funds? I know you are working, but what of those who are not working but they still want to do this? They are motivated to do this. How would they navigate the financial process in terms of the school application? And how much did you spend as well? If you can let us know.
Sly, the truth is, in everything, there's always a price to pay. There
Okay,
is always a
before
price
you
to pay.
continue, Owusu Asari says, I should tell you, God bless you, Mahmoud Sanfo. And he says, I can listen to him the whole day. His SOP really helped me to draft mine. Owusu Asari, we appreciate you. Thank you very much. Sanfo, you can
Bless
continue.
her for you too. Bless her for you too. Yes. So back to the answer. So there's always a price to pay, right? No matter whatever you want in life, there is a price to pay. It can be monetary, it can be some form of sacrifice, or like exchange of like maybe commodity to get what you want. That is what there's a saying that always use what you have to get what you want.
Yeah.
Yes. So for my application, for when I was applying, the schools I applied to in Canada, like I said, Queen's University, McGill University, and UBC. For the McGill, I didn't pay application fee. I think it was like $120. I don't remember $120. I didn't pay that one. But Queen's was 100 Canadian dollars, and then UBC was 158 Canadian dollars as of that time.
Yeah.
So I paid for both application fees. Yes. And that was the money I spent. The other amount I spent was when I got admitted to UBC, I was supposed to send them my official transcript from my university. So then I have to take my original transcript from UMAT back to UMAT for them to make a copy and then certify that copy. And then they have to mail it back to UBC, and then I have to pay for DHL because I wanted it express. So I think I pay like 200, 300 cities as of that time. I don't remember, but it was around that amount. So that was the only monies I spent in the application process. But then the rest, like going to professors, because it was just a matter of email and then phone call. Just call them, and then UBC actually, all I have to do was to add their details to the application, their email, phone number, and then full name and their position in the department, like in the university. And then UBC actually sent them a link for them to fill out a form. So it wasn't like a paper recommendation where you have to type and then print and then submit. No, that wasn't the case at all because we live in a digital world. Yes. So that was the amount I spent on the application part. But then when I got there, and then definitely, for the visa part, there is an amount that you have to pay for the visa processing. You have to go to Accra police. By I did police report. And I went to do my medicals. I did upfront medicals too. And then there's a price for all these stuffs that I did. So I paid for all this. And then when I actually moved to Canada, I had a percentage of the tuition fee that I was supposed to pay. So I actually paid, I think it was like $2,000 back in Ghana for as part of my tuition fee, right? And then I came to Canada with I think we will get there. So I came to Canada with $3,000. That was the amount, aside what I used to purchase my plane ticket.
1,000 or 3,000?
3,000 card. Yes, that was the amount that I brought to Canada as of that time in 2022.
Okay. So, if there is someone who is interested in applying to your program and your school, and the person is watching us right now, if you can recall, can you mention the requirements so that the person can have a look at it and also give an advice on what the person can do to get in? Since you said the program is very, very competitive, that is masters in, I think, occupational health and hygiene.
Occupational and environmental hygiene, yes.
Okay, at University of British Columbia. So if you can talk to our audience.
Well, like I said, in Ghana, there are only few certified industrial hygienists. And like when we say hygiene, people actually try to relate to someone for, because back in Ghana, if we say, oh, they are environmental hygienists or environmental health, like we in account language, we refer to them as someone, right?
Okay.
This is a different ball game altogether. So, like you see in Ghana, in the mining, construction, oil and gas, and then the allied industry, we always have a health, safety, and then environment department where a lot of funds is allocated to them. And safety is very expensive, like especially if you look at the big industries, yes. Now, in Ghana, what we do is we practice safety, but in the health aspect, we don't actually do the health aspect. Like I said, the whole Ghana, it is only in Legon. And even in Legon, they recently started the program. And because it is still in the development phase, if you look at the program structure, you can see that it doesn't par with what the industry needs. But then I know with time they will do better. Because like I said, you don't have more practical, because with hygiene, you need to have hands-on approach. Like you need to have that field knowledge to be able to relate whatever you are. Like, it shouldn't be theory. Yes. Now in Canada, there are only 4 schools that offer industrial hygiene at the graduate level: University of Toronto, University of British Columbia, McGill University, and the University of Montreal. But then for University of Montreal, the medium of instruction is French. There's no English. It's French. So I always take that out. So making it only 3 schools in Canada offering that program. Now, when you look at that of McGill University and University of Toronto, their program is actually geared towards public health, like to tackle global pandemics. But UBC's own is more like engineering at tech and engineering at UMatt. Everybody who is a graduate of tech and then UMatt will be able to tell you this. UMatt is 50-50, 50 practicals, 50% like theory based, but tech, I don't know, it's a do. And ours is geared toward the mining industry. So they say when it comes to UBC's program is 50% co-op, where you actually go out, the school will find a place for you to go and do your co-op for a whole semester, where you'll be doing a project and then you'll be assessed based on that project. So whatever you've learned, you go and then you practicalize it. So making you understand or making use of whatever you've learned, which is not the case for the other universities.
Okay.
So making UBC the number 1 destination for a lot of people. And people all over the world, China, India, and everywhere. And you know, definitely in every program, you see a lot of, but then at my program, it won't be like only Indians or you have a greater number from me. It's very diverse. You have people from Australia, New Zealand, like Europe, and then what have you. Yes. So the program itself, I must be honest, is very competitive. There are people who had first class. They have about 15 years work experience. They didn't get admission. I have senior colleagues back in Ghana who are working in the mine. They didn't get admission. They had over 15 years experience. They had first class in their first degree, but still they didn't get admission. So because the admission is very competitive, like I said, you should get people who are willing and ready to write good recommendation letters for you.
Okay.
That is one of the key things. Forget about the SOP, though the SOP plays a crucial role. But if you have a strong SOP without good recommendation, forget it. That is why they deliberately say, okay, we need a blend for the recommendation, professional and then academic.
Okay.
So that they compare the two and then pick out some few things from. So that will inform the committee's decision whether to offer you the admission or not.
Okay.
So recommendation, your SOP, and then like I said, your academic performance should be top notch. At least second class upper. I don't know. But then
Okay,
I
so
believe you
so
strong second
of
class
the
upper.
academic resume or CV.
Yes, you need a resume CV. Yes, academic CV. I forgot to mention that one.
And
Yes.
how should that be tailored?
It will basically look, it should be both blended, both, it should be, like you see, we have so many types of resume. So we have professional resume, we have academic, but this one should be a blend between the two.
Okay.
Yes, because they also consider your background to see that, oh, this person actually have the exposure. So that also inform the department, but it's not always the case that everybody should have relevant. There are some people right from school. There are some Canadians fresh from the undergraduate, and then they join the program. They don't have any work experience or or whatever. But I'm talking about if you are coming from where I'm coming from, you should also consider that part. If you don't have relevant work experience, you have to make sure that your academics is a bit high, you have good recommendations, and then you have a solid SOP, and that is it. The rest is just your application fee, which is 158 card. That's all you need.
Okay.
You
So
cannot seek your favors from anybody or whatsoever because the committee is an independent. You will not even get to know them. Yes.
So if you are watching us right now, I'll plead with you to share the link and invite your friends and family to join as we are having an interesting and educative discussion about how a UBC alumnus finish school and transition into the corporate world, that is the job market. Okay, so whilst in school, how was life as an international student? Were there financial struggles, or since you were doing well in Ghana, you brought a whole lot of cash to Canada? If you can give us a brief overview about how life was in school.
Well, to be honest with you, my time when I came to Canada, I was fortunate to get exempted from working limited hours. So I was actually working unlimited hours. We were exempted from that public policy. So I could work even 100 hours a week. There wasn't any like
Restriction.
restriction on me. Yes.
Okay.
And so when I came for the first 3 months, I wasn't working. I was actually home, like, school, home, school, home. And then it got to a point where I felt like after paying 3 months rent, I realized the money that I brought was shrinking in size.
How
And
much
I
was
was,
the monthly rent by that time?
um, it was, I think 750 or so. Yeah, 750.
Okay.
For the first semester that I came, it was 750. Yes.
Were you living on
And
campus or outside campus?
no. I was living outside campus because, like, for on-campus accommodation, you need to apply even before you submit your application for admission.
Wow.
Yes, and you'll be on a queue for like forever. And I didn't like that one. And it was also expensive, and there wasn't like a payment, but you have to pay significant amount of that amount in cash. Like that is if the whole year is $10,000, you're supposed to pay like 50%. And I wouldn't commit $5,000 just for accommodation like upfront, right? Yeah, so I needed where you work and then you pay. You work and then you pay. Yes, so after 3 months, then I decided to find myself work. So I started with Amazon, and that was where I had my first and then worst encounter. So I
Your
went
first
there for,
work encounter.
yes, Amazon.
Oh,
I
share
work
with
at their
us.
warehouse.
Share with us.
So it was actually a gig job. So there was this app that they call Gig Hound. So you actually find gig jobs. So I got a shift which was from 12 midnight to I think 8 a.m. in the morning. So I didn't know the scope of work, to be honest with you, because it was gig and they were paying $19. So when I went there was this long trailer that reversed into like a portion. Like you see how a warehouse system is.
Yeah.
And then they brought in a conveyor and then they have to move the conveyor inside the trailer. And there were packages coming and they said I should arrange the package in the trailer. So it was repetitive job. And then if you know more about ergonomics, like it's about your body and then your workspace design. So I was in awkward position and it was repetition. So when you do it for like you take the box and then you arrange and then boxes were moving, the conveyor speed was high. So there were a lot of packages coming. So I was working like a robot. So after spending like 3 hours to fit in all the packages in that trailer, they moved the trailer and brought another one. The supervisor told me to go and said, "Fuck you, man. After doing this job, I should go and do it again." So I told her, "No, I give up. I'm not doing it." So I actually got paid for 4 hours. I did only 4 hours. So I left in the middle of the night. And in Vancouver, when it's like 1 a.m., all the transit system, except buses, some buses, designated buses, the train system, everything shut down. So I have to take Uber that night back home. And it took me like 3 days before I was able to, like, get relief from the pain. The next job was with they call it cargo jet. And that was also at the airport, and it was the same thing. It was also Amazon packages, but that one, when the plane lands, they offload them. They were in cages, and they just put them in boxes. So that one was easy. So I did it for a couple of times, and then before I actually got a job with the university kitchen. So I started as a dishwasher. So like
Dishwasher,
dishwasher, yes,
engineer from Ghana and dishwashing.
yes.
And
So the
was it
first
something you were okay
time,
with?
come again.
Was it something you were okay with, like an engineer from Ghana? Then you are now doing a dishwashing job, like packaging boy job as well. Were you okay with this kind
Well,
of jobs?
Well, like I said, Canada, when you come to Canada, no matter your degree or your work experience from Ghana, nobody recognizes that until at least you get integrated into the Canadian system. So nobody cares what you were doing, unless maybe you apply for a PR through the express entry. And even with that one, even if you come in, still, most organization, most mining industry will never accept your credentials or whatever. So you actually have to be ingrained with the Canadian system and everything before you will be actually recognized. And then you are also a student. And if somebody wants to offer you a job, it should be full time. So you can't be doing studies and then working full time at the same time. So it actually has to do part-time jobs. So on my first day, when I got to the kitchen, they gave me apron, they gave me this hat, and I asked myself, "Hey, safety engineer, parts and dishwasher, Charlie." And then you see these undergraduate students, young girls, they eat, they dump the place like something, and then senior man, you just go, you pack them, and then but then the washing wasn't like Ghana, so we were using a pressure washer. So you just take the plate and then it's pressurized tube. So you just rinse everything off and then you arrange them in a crate and then you slide them into a machine. The machine washes and then somebody at the other end they take them and then dry them off. So that was it. And it was a nice job because we're getting good food, UBC to be precise, good food and everything, and the pay was good. So that's what I did. So I did that job from November 2022 till February 2024.
Okay.
Yes, I did it for a very long time. And that really helped me. It really boosted my finances and then everything. Because at the end of the 2 weeks, you should be able to get like maybe 1,500 or whatever. So pay your rent and they still have enough cash to do other stuffs. Yeah. So that's what I did.
I hope you'll not be part of those people who will say, "Oh, you washed dishes before you became a billionaire at maybe 40 or 35."
Oh no, 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 no. Oh no. Oh no.
Okay.
Oh
So if
no.
you're watching us right now, this is a conversation with Sanfo Mahmoud, an alumnus of University of British Columbia, and he's sharing how he came to Canada and how he transitioned from being a student into getting a corporate job in Canada. So if you are watching and you have any question, any concerns, just leave it in the comment section for us. We'll display your question, we'll read it out to him, and he'll respond. So we are now taking questions as the conversation keeps on unfolding. Let's continue. So you mentioned co-op as part of your program. How was the experience? Were you paid, or it was just something you did for free, just because you were going to be awarded with academic grades?
Well, the co-op that I had was a life-changing opportunity. Like it was a life-changing opportunity for me, I must be honest, right? So I was actually I got placed at with Floor Constructors Canada Limited. So it's actually a multinational construction company who specializes in building oil and gas, onshore oil and gas for both onshore and then offshore oil and gas facilities, and then what have you. So it was actually located at Kittimat, which is about 1.5 hour away from Vancouver by air.
Okay.
So when I was placed there, my work schedule was actually 14 days on the job and then 7 days off. So it was actually fly in, fly out. So every 2 weeks I was flying. Every 2 weeks and every week I was just flying in and out, and then they provided accommodation. Like, it was one of the most, like, one of the top-notch jobs that I got. And then when
So
I got there,
the flying, were you paying out of pocket or it was sponsored by Floor?
everything, I didn't spend a dime. And even the monies that I used to take Uber from my house to the airport during tax returns, I even got all of those monies back.
Okay.
Yes. So it was actually a life-changing opportunity. And my experience on that job was like, when I first got there, typical white community, and then you black boy, and then you see yourself as a student. Like, you see, typically in Ghana, when you're doing internship or co-op, you see yourself like you are there to learn. But then that wasn't the case. Here, people respect you for who you are and what you do. There are some people, I'm not saying all whites behave the same. There are some people, I don't want to say they are racist. Fine, that is with them. But like I said, sometimes our mind, we just have this perception that, oh, I'm a black guy going into a white community. Then the inferiority complex begins in your own mind. But that's not the case. For them, all they care about is getting the job done. And that is it. They don't care about whether you are black, white, short, tall, fat. Nobody cares. It's about what you can deliver. Right? When I got there, actually, like, I was given a white helmet, and everybody who was having white helmet was actually like staff management. Understand? So that was where I felt like, oh my God. So this is where I find myself. And this project I'm talking about was one of the first, and it is the biggest LNG project in the history of North America, not Canada, North America, including US. This is the biggest. It's a $44 billion project. You can check it up online, LNG Canada project. And I was so proud to be part of that project because I actually worked on that project for 4 months. And that was a life. Having that alone on my resume, alone, is a game changer for me. And like I said, had it not been education, I'm not sure I would have found this opportunity.
Okay.
That is why I didn't care about what amount it costed me to get admitted into the program. And then the more reason why I also chose UBC, though I didn't know it would be LNG Canada that I'll be going to, but I knew definitely I'll get a co-op, either with the mines specifically. And even before that offer, I actually got jobs from multinational mining big companies. So I first got one from Rio Tinto, which is one of the biggest mining companies in the world. And I got a job from Tech, but I rejected them. That was my first time rejecting.
Is it for the co-op? Is it for the co-op or
Yeah, for the co-op. No,
okay.
for the co-op. So I was like, hey, Kwaku Sefa, today I'm rejecting a job offer. Ghana, who can say this? Rejecting a job offer. So yeah, I rejected those two and I accepted that one. And then that was like a life-changing opportunity for me, to be honest with you. So from there, I started, it's like every Friday, there will be alerts that yes, something is dropping in your account.
So whilst you were a student and having your co-op for that number of 4 months, you said every Friday you were also being paid like
Every
some cash.
Friday, every blessed Friday, whether you are home or you're at work.
Wow.
Yes. And that was a good thing. And then the experience and then the exposure and then the people that I got opportunity to meet, like I got to meet some of the tycoons in the LNG industry. Oh my God, that was like I said, for me, it's a life-changing opportunity for me. And I pray that everybody gets such opportunities in their life.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's talk about working as an international student since you mentioned it earlier. Is it possible to come to Canada and work and pay your fees, or you have to prepare adequately back from your home country and bring enough cash to support yourself? If you can answer that for us.
Well, thank you for that question. If it were to be like the last 3 years ago, I could have said yes. You can actually come in here and then work to support yourself.
Okay.
But there's been a lot of changes right now as it stands in Canada. Right now, there have been a lot of changes. Now, I won't advise anybody to have this perception that I'm coming to Canada empty-handed, just to rely on getting a job to get money to pay for my tuition fee or to pay for your rent or whatever.
Okay.
So now you're coming, at least your first semester fees and then accommodation, feeding fee and everything, you have to prepare. I know there have been a lot of strained relationships between the Ghanaian community, like the African community, because a lot of people felt like, oh, I know Sly, he's doing well. So when I go to Canada, I will actually go and then stay with him for a while before I find my place. But the one thing people don't understand is, unlike Ghana, like I didn't even know where my own house was because I was just sleeping around. Where I find myself, that's where I sleep because I have so many friends. You can go and sleep at anybody's house and nobody cares. But it's not the same here because of how things are being managed in Canada. Every house is supposed to have insurance, and the insurance, there are members that the insurance cover. So
Okay.
if you come to somebody's house and something happens to you, it is on the landlord. So that is why most landlords some don't even entertain visitors at all. Not to talk of allowing you to stay with your friend for a period of maybe weeks, a matter of months, or like, whatever. So if you are coming, please, you need to prepare adequately. Like there's been a lot of changes in Canada recently. If it was to be like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there were so many jobs. Now, cash jobs is difficult to find. Normal jobs is difficult to find. And what even made the case worse has to do with IRCC reverting back to the original policy and restricting students to work only 24 hours a week. So now employers don't want to give job opportunities to students because you will actually, your work schedule will actually affect their roster.
Okay.
Because like you tell them, oh, I have class this morning, so I want to start work at 10 a.m. and close at 6 p.m. You don't tell an employer how you want to work. He has to tell you, I have this shift available. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you have class. And you are here to study. You are not here to work. So you cannot sacrifice your study for work. So that is the challenges. And now, because a lot of people also came with their spouses or their spouses joined them, because your spouse is having a full working permit, and they have all the time for themselves. Employers prefer to give the job offers to people who actually have full work permit instead of students because they don't want to mess with their own work schedule. So I will advise anybody, especially now, if your intention is to come, please prepare at least your first semester so that when you come and then things get worse, at least you'll be able to go through the first semester with sanity and then you deal with the subsequent semesters. I have friends, they've been here for like for a year now, no job. Everywhere, every corner is a sorry. Unfortunately, I have friends who are engineers back in Ghana, cleaning company telling them, we are sorry. Unfortunately, we don't have really like availability for you. Just imagine a deputy bank manager from Ghana and a cleaning company here telling you, we don't have a job for you. Like I said, like the way I'm putting it, maybe you not see the seriousness in it until it happens to you. So all I can say is just prepare adequately, at least for a semester before you come.
Okay. That's very, very, very insightful. And all our listeners and viewers should kindly pay heed to that. If you are planning to come to Canada and study, prepare very well. At least come along with some funds that will sustain you for some number of months. Don't just say you are relying on getting to Canada and finding jobs immediately. It's not as if there are no jobs, there are jobs, but it's tough, especially as an international student. Let's take note of that. Okay, let's talk about the visa application briefly. Were you given the opportunity to go for an interview, just like how the US system is, to find an early appointment or date and go for an interview, or the Canadian process was a different process? Was there anything like an interview, yes or no?
No, there wasn't any interview.
Okay, so how did you navigate the visa processes, especially the head-ups?
Canada visa process is pretty straightforward. No interviews, no human interface. The only thing that will take your time is when you decide to do upfront medicals, that you have to go to Accra because the medical hospitals authorized to do those medicals are just IOM and then ACAI. And then as it stands now, I don't know if there have been changes. They were only based in Accra. They don't have them in the other regions. It is only in Accra. So you have to, wherever you find yourself, you have to travel all the way to Accra to get your medicals done. And then number two, your biometrics. That is when you successfully submit your application, you get notification that you need to schedule a date to go and then give your biometrics. And that one, you have to go to Accra. There is a centralized system. If you are staying in Kumasi, wherever, northern region,
Which
you have to come.
organization in Accra?
Come again?
Which organization in Accra will you have to go and
So
do
that
that?
is VFS. VFS. So IRCC actually partners with VFS Global. So they have an office at Abelempi. I don't know if they've moved because
Yeah,
the last time
I
I
think they're
was,
still there. I think they're
yes,
still there.
you go to Abelempi and then you give your biometrics. So those are the only things that will require you to travel from the comfort of your house to go to Accra and then do. After giving your biometrics, the rest is just you cross your fingers and then you pray for a positive outcome. That is it.
So, just a quick addition. Recently, IOM has, I think, opened a branch in Kumasi.
Oh,
First,
great.
we're taking medicals for, I think, only UK. I don't know if they've added Canada now. So maybe those in Kumasi can just double check that. Okay. So also Asari says, boss, please, at least tell them to prepare for 1 year, not 1 semester. Okay. Also Asari too is one of our good friends. I believe he's also in Canada now, and he's advising that even if you can, come with at least 1 year preparation, not 1 semester. Okay. Emmanuel Kwachi is also asking, please, what work do you currently do?
Yeah, Ima. So I'm currently working as industrial hygiene coordinator for Vale Base Metals. So Vale Base Metals is actually a mining company. Yes, and they have several operations in South America, Brazil, Peru, Indonesia, and then North America is Canada. They also have operations in the UK and other parts of the world. So I'm working on their Manitoba operations, which is located in Thompson.
Okay. Okay. Now, talking about the visa application process. Okay. Okay. There's a question here about co-op. Alfred Donko is asking, during internship period, that is the co-op period, how do you carry yourself? Because most interns are students with less experience. So he said during the internship period, that is your co-op period, how do you carry yourself? Because some of them who are going for the internship, they are students with less experience. So if you can give an advice concerning that.
Well, so basically, when you are working with this white, like I said, they have structures, they have programs, like, they definitely know that you are a student and then you are coming in. So definitely you will be assigned a mentor or like a direct supervisor, somebody that you are working under, right? And then fortunately for me, the supervisor that I had said, hey, you know what? I am an old man and I don't have master's degree like you are having, right? So now the job is, these are the problems we have. Tell me what you need, all the resources you need, whether money or whatever. And then I'll provide them and they figure out how to solve the problem. So that was it. So every time when you wake up in the morning and you go to work, it's about like finding solutions. And then it was a very big place with about 5,000 employees. When we actually went, it was actually 10,000 at the initial stage because the construction was very massive. If you go to their website right now, you will see how massive it is. It was very massive. And they scaled it down to 5,000 because we got to a point where they made significant progress in the construction phase. Yes. So there were activities like welding. And then, if you know more about welding, when they are welding, it generates a lot of fumes, which contains like toxic chemicals. And these toxic chemicals, when you inhale them and they go into your lungs, they have chronic effect after getting exposed repeatedly for some time. The job will be done, but you come home and then you begin to have lung problems. So this is what I seek to prevent. So what I do is I do occupational exposure monitoring, having a pump, which is very small pump, costing $3,000, which functions like the human lung. So I fix it to a worker who is performing welding activity, and then I have a filter. So it actually captures whatever the welder is breathing in. And I send it to a lab, they analyze and they tell me this is the level. And every province in Canada has occupational health and safety regulation, where we have specific limits for some of these contaminants. So when it is over, then I advise the company, based on the test I did, I think you have to buy maybe improve ventilation or buy this PPE for the worker. We have so many PPEs. We have different type of respirators. And so my job was just to conduct the test, get the numbers and advice.
Okay.
So as a co-op student, I do all this job, give it to my boss. He goes to management meeting. We do go together. But then, like I said, you're a co-op student. There was some time they gave me the opportunity to also present myself. That's it. By my boss, we just do the presentation to them and then we make the recommendation. So that was it. So it was just an avenue for you to learn. And if you're willing to learn, you get to learn a lot.
Okay. A quick question here. Lovett is asking, that is Dorcas, she's asking, please, between Canada and US, which one do you advise as prospective international students to consider? Also, I heard Canada has increased the time of work for international students. How true is this?
At the time of work, I think it was 20 and then they moved it to 24. So I don't see any big difference in that. So
I think
20.
Yeah, I think she's talking about the earlier one, which was the full time. So if maybe you can start from that before the 20, then the 24, if you can clarify.
Oh, okay. So when we came, that is from 2022, I think, up to somewhere 2024. There wasn't any limit for specific people. There was a specific target group. I think people who submitted the application on or before October 2022, they were supposed to work full time. And then that policy ended in somewhere April 2020. I think April 2023 or 2024. I'm not sure. It ended. And now they reverted back to 20 hours. And then later they said they increased it to 24 hours. So currently, as it stands, all international students are only allowed to work 24 hours. And you can't go beyond that because people are having issues with it. Now, with the second question, between US and then Canada, like I said, the two countries, the education system operates differently. If it has to do with getting funding, it is easy to get funding in the US because in US there are about thousands of schools and it's just a tiny fraction that we have in Canada. Even the number of schools in one state in US can be more than all the schools in 5 provinces in Canada. So there are more schools in US, meaning there's more funding in the US than in Canada. So if you want funding, then I would say look into the US. Yes, there you get funding. But then, like I said, some of the driving factors why people choose Canada over US has to do with life after school. Because in Canada, it is very easy to integrate into the system, even if you don't have a job. By US, when you're done with school and you are giving your OPT, and the OPT is only 3 years for people who are into STEM programs. If you are not into STEM program and you are into social sciences and other stuff, it's only 1 year. So within that 1 year, if you're not able to find an employer who will sponsor you for your H-1B, then you have to get other alternatives like marriage or other forms. And now the second coming of Donald Trump is also not making things easy. Like, I don't know much, but it's not making things easy. So, like I said, it depends. So you just have to weigh the two factors and then decide which will be best for you. Because Canada, getting funding in Canada is also becoming a bit difficult. It's becoming tight now. But US is easy. When you come to Canada and you are done with school too, I think life here in Canada is a bit flexible as compared to the US.
Okay. Let's go straight to another question concerning the visa application. People often say that, oh, my agent has promised me that in exactly 1 month time, in exactly 5 month time, in exactly 3 weeks time, in exactly 3 months time, I'll hear a decision from IRCC and I'll get my visa approved. And even sometimes they go to the extent of saying, oh, pay this money. I know someone somewhere who can influence the decision so that you get a positive review of your application and get your visa approved. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I'm not saying this to discredit any agent. There are some good agents, but then there are also bad nuts in them, amongst them. So it's all about being careful. No agent has any influence or whatsoever in the decision of IRCC. Let me just make this clear. Now, because of the desperation among people just to Japan, because of like some of the economic hardships and there's some challenges that we are facing in our country, everybody went to Japan, and people have taken advantage of that just to capitalize on ignorant people, people who doesn't have much info about this whole system, and they promise people work permit. No agent can get a work permit for you from outside Ghana. This is how it operates. At first, they used to process LMIA jobs for some people, and that one, like an agent can facilitate that with an employer in Canada. Now, even the driving factor, the motivational like reason behind that has been taken off recently by IRCC, because you get points for getting a range job. So now it is not worth it to even spend that huge amount of money to get it. When it comes to study visa and then visitors visa, I know agents will just sugarcoat words for you that, oh, I can get a visa for you like in a month. Like I said, the duration it will take for your application to be processed has to do with the officer handling your application. Some can be as early as a week. Some can be as late as several years. There are people who submitted the application. It took them 3 years before they got decision. So agents are just operating in a way lottery operates. It's 50-50, a two man or two.
Okay.
But then sometimes they can do like 3 applications for people, depending on the package in the application, and then it will be successful. So which will then be like, oh, okay, he was able to do this and it worked, then it means he can do it. And then you will fall victim. They charge you huge sums of money and then you do it. Meanwhile, all the information, all the info about visitors visa, study visa, and everything is readily available that you don't have to pay anything. But I understand some people don't want to sit down and then do it themselves. They prefer to outsource it to a third party. But you just have to be careful. Like I said, there are good agents who does clean jobs. But I won't be able to distinguish between a good agent and then a bad agent, especially now looking at what now IRCC is on autopilot. Whatever application you sent, denial. If 100 applications goes in, you have about only 5% of it getting approved. The 95 getting denied. So if any agent promise you anything, oh, I can get you a visa within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, please, you need to think twice, because everybody is hungry and everybody needs money. And once you get the money and you don't get your visa, there's nothing you can, because you can't even report this to anybody. Who are you going to report to? That you are trying to commit fraud and the person has duped you. 2 fraudsters. So we just have to be careful with agents. Like I said, they are still licensed agents. They are doing good jobs, but then like there's always something to pay for what you want, and it comes at a heavy price. But my advice is, like I said, there are so many groups, there are so many materials that you can take advantage of to do your own application, do it yourself. That's what I always advocate for. Do it yourself. You can do it yourself. And when you begin to do it yourself, you realize that it's just a simple process, hassle-free, no stress, no interview, nothing. The only thing is you going to Accra maybe once or twice. Even if you target well, you can go to Accra once and do your medicals and then your biometrics the same day, and then you send your medicals through web form. But if not, you can go and do your medicals, add it to your application, later go for your biometrics. So there's no point of paying any agent. They will promise you heaven, but they can't deliver. So just be careful.
They'll deliver, but maybe they'll deliver hell. Okay. That was very insightful concerning coming to Canada and international students' life. Now, let's go to the second aspect and we'll wrap up very soon. Transitioning from being a student to getting your postgraduate work permit and working in one of the top industries, that is the mining sector in Canada, the corporate industry in Canada. How was it like for you? Was it tough? Are you part of those who finished school and struggled to get a job, or you landed the job offer whilst you were still studying in school? If you can throw more light on that for us.
Well, in law, there's this Latin statement that res ipsa loquitur. So the facts always speak for themselves.
Okay.
So the reason why I madly chose UBC has to do with my program. You have industries actually coming in to source the students. So I actually had my job offer in January. That was the beginning of my last semester.
Okay.
My last semester actually started, my final semester actually started from January and it ended in April. So I had my graduation in May. So I had my job offer in January. So there were several job offers, and you have to sit down because, like I said, you had employers going through my LinkedIn profile. That is one thing that also helped me. They
Okay.
went through my LinkedIn profile. Some reached out to me directly. Oh, I've seen your profile and we are interested to offer you a job. So if you are ready, we want to have an interview with you and then everything. So I had several interviews. I had a couple of job offers and I have to decide. And that part is the most difficult part for me. It was very difficult because they were all lucrative jobs, good benefits and then everything. So you have to sit down and then do comparative analysis and choose what you want. So in January, I applied to some companies of my choice, and they all responded back positively. I had countless interviews with them whilst I was in school. And then the offer came. So when the offer came, they limited the time that I have to decide. So some gave me 3 days to decide whether I'm accepting the offer or not because they were just pushing you. And I said, hey, you know what? I'm still in school. I'll be done in school with school in April. They said, no, we want to give you the offer. Even if you want to work from home, you can work from home till you graduate or whatever. So I was in a dilemma. So I have to think and then think and then think. But like I said, there's this thing that I look out for: purpose. How whatever I'm accepting will, like, influence or like affect my life career wise and professional wise in the next coming years. Is it going to satisfy my both short term and then long term career goals? That's what I did. So upon doing this up and down ABCD, I chose Vale because when I look at the content of the job offer, I realized that it was a perfect match for me. And then the remuneration was also so great for me as compared to the others.
Okay,
You
but a quick
understand?
one. A quick one. I'm not cutting you. You studied in British Columbia,
Yes.
specifically Vancouver,
Yes.
which is for those who love like chilling and fun and those things.
Yep.
Now, with Thompson, I live in Manitoba, and even from Winnipeg to Manitoba, from Winnipeg to Thompson, it's like 8 hours drive.
Exactly.
It's very, very cold as compared to Winnipeg. Even here, we are complaining that it's very cold. But you are living in Thompson. You moved from Vancouver to Thompson. What
Yes.
motivated you to leave Vancouver? Because even it hardly snows in Vancouver. So, what motivated you to leave Vancouver? Was it just because of the money or because the role fits in perfectly for you? That is why you went in for it. If you can clarify that.
Well, so if you look at my background, you realize that it wasn't about money because I even got a job in BC, which was also a fly-in, fly-out, which
Okay.
perfectly aligns with my lifestyle and then everything. And the money was so great. It was great. It was even higher than what I accepted with Valley.
Okay.
But then, like I said, I did a comparative analysis and then I realized that that was a project. And when you're working on a project and the project is done, it is not mandatory for the company to retain you. They only retain you when they have a project that they are working on. Just go and then try to find another spot. You understand? But with the job that I got, I realized that I wasn't coming to work under anybody. So I will be making decisions myself. So it's like I am my own manager, my own boss. I take decisions on my own. You
Okay.
understand? Two, the exposure that I was going to get because this is a blend of it is an underground operation, right?
Okay.
I've not worked underground before. I've been to underground, but I've not worked underground before. So it was an opportunity for me. So I've worked in surface mining operations. I've worked in oil and gas and now underground. So I look at it this way that, okay, it is going to like satisfy both my short-term and a long-term career. So short-term, now I'm having underground experience. In a long term, it will say this guy, he has experience in both surface mining and underground. Like, you get what I mean?
Okay.
So that is the more reason why I decided to. It wasn't like easy decision for me because especially like if you've stayed in Vancouver before and you are moving all the way from Vancouver to Thompson, you are moving from a population of about 2 million city to where the population is 14,000, where the houses are sparsely spaced. Like you move from one point, like it will take you like 5 minutes to drive through the whole town. One McDonald's outlet, one Walmart, one Safeway, and that is it. And you're living Cactus Club and then those areas like beautiful beaches and then everything just to come here. It wasn't an easy decision, but like I said, I don't regret the decision I made because, like I said, right now, where I'm sitting and the exposure I've had and then everything, I still have companies reaching out to me. They want to source me. But like I said, I have long-standing commitment to because of the opportunity they gave me. I cannot just ditch them and then move. But when the right time comes, definitely, the thing is, I'm not here forever. Definitely, I'll move because in life, sometimes you have to make certain moves in your life. But then until then, I'm still here because the exposure, the benefit, and everything is great. It's very great for me.
There are people who are done with school in Canada. I personally know some of them. They are still struggling to get good jobs or jobs that relates to their field of study. Since you have been successful, you have been through the process, you've seen it all. What advice will you give to those of them who are watching us right now so that they can implement some of your strategies and also get some of the offers you got from their various field of study?
So the first thing in every academician life is to create a robust profile online. That is using LinkedIn. I'm not a social media fan. Maybe I only waste time on TikTok, but Snap and then like IG, I'm not a fan. But people spend luxurious time on Snap and then IG, which doesn't offer them any benefits. So I would say pay attention to your LinkedIn profile because that will speak for you. If you have a LinkedIn profile, many recruiters mostly do visit your profile even at the time that you are not aware. And when they go there, there are some key things that they look at and the kind of exposure that you've had. Like I said, just last week I was on vacation. I had a couple of messages. I have an upcoming interview, but I declined the offer because the thing is, even if I do the interview and give it a job, I'm not leaving, right? Not now. So make your LinkedIn speak for you because an employer will only get the opportunity to look at your resume when you apply. Because there are so many companies. There's no way Newmont will be looking for, how would they get access to my resume? Unless maybe they give, they post an opening and then you submit your application and then your resume. That is the only time they'll get a chance. But then there are some recruiters, like we are living in a digitized world, that not everybody posts all jobs online. So if you have your LinkedIn profile, some actually do visit there. You will see that, this person viewed your profile. And then some will actually reach out to you. I have my email and then my phone number there. So they reach out to me through email. Hey, we saw your profile and it looks great and we want to give you a job or fine. We'd like to have a conversation with you, whether describe the job, the position to you, the benefits and everything. Then you will decide whether you will take it or not. You get it. So one, your LinkedIn. And then two, in Canada, like me, I don't underestimate people. Everybody that I meet, I get attached to people and always try because I have this firm belief that if we win together, we become successful together. If you look at the East Legon Billionaires Club, they are winning together. That is why you always see them solid. It's not like one person is richer than the other. So they all see themselves to be rich because it got to a point where they help themselves and now they've reached that level. So if you are not up to that level, you cannot even join them. So translating that to our standard. Now, there was a time I came to Canada before you, right? Now today you are here. Some of the things that I used to do way back, I don't do those things again. You were doing them. And now you two, you are here. You don't do those things again. Now we are winning together. If I need something, it's just a matter of coming to you directly. Hey, this is what I need. If you can help me. That should be. So just build strong and solid relationship with people. When we talk about God's blessing, nobody on this earth knows who God is. Nobody has seen God before because he lives in a spiritual realm. But then God's blessing, and nobody has ever received a phone call or an email from God that, hey, I'm sending blessings to you. But then you meet somebody in your life and that person can change your life. And that is God's blessing through that person. So we all need people to get to some point. It was through somebody actually shaped my decision. Somebody actually pushed me to do this, that part, maybe starting my career, and then this is where I find myself now. And then the same way, maybe you spoke to someone about this and the person encouraged you, maybe you were down, you were doing. I know people, US denied them like several times. They gave up. After speaking to them on several occasions, now they are in Canada. You understand? Just that the only thing that we don't get is when people come here, you see that disintegration. Everybody feels like they are bosses on their own. We can be in the same game, but still there will be different levels. It doesn't matter. Me, I don't care this person did this for me or that for me. What does it take from me? It won't change my name from Mumuni to whatever. I'm still Sanfo. Nothing can change unless I decide to change my name and get it. So maintain good relationship with people because somebody will actually see something. I remember when I did my job, LNG Canada, when I was doing my co-op, there was a senior colleague, a Ghanaian, that I saw. So I saw him and I was like, oh, senior, Charlie, it's been a long time. Then we advised, oh, let me get your ticket so that I could say, oh, he would test me. He didn't give me his contact. He would test me. It really pained me. It's not even a lady who said he would test me. Well, I know, boy. So I was there, and then later somebody called me and they said, oh, somebody's asking for your number. Can I give your number? I said, who? He said, oh, there's this guy. I said, but I approached him. I asked for his number, and he said he would test me. Well, no worries, just give it to him. And he called. He said, oh, Charlie, I'm sorry. I thought I was having your number, not knowing I lost your number. You see, there you go. I realized that you are working at LNG. I've seen a job and I want you to recommend me. I went back to the office, talked to my boss and said, oh, really? Do you know him well? And I lied, oh, I've worked with him back in Ghana before. And he got a job.
Your bosses are watching now.
I'm telling you, because I'm not capping. Yes. And he got a job.
But you lied on his behalf.
And since, yes, I lied on his behalf. And since then, now from that, hey, Charlie, what's up? How are things going? You understand? What will it take from you to just, we are all in Canada. Hey, hi, what's up? Everybody is lonely. Everybody in Canada mostly is lonely. But then everybody feels like they are bosses on their own. They know this. At the end of the day, what benefit will you get from that? You get it? So network yourself with like-minded people.
Okay.
Have a solid LinkedIn profile. And then always make your resume readily available and talk to people. The fact that you are not getting, maybe, like I said, you need someone to get there. So if you are applying and then you're not getting the job, talk to people. Maybe somebody might hear or see something and then tell you, hey, apply for this job. And then that will be the game changer for you. But if you keep quiet and then you are there alone and you are suffering on your own, and it is not my responsibility that you are suffering, right? Yeah. But if you speak up, if you do share, I know the less people know about you, the better. But that's not the case. If you actually need something, if you actually need to survive, forget about selling myself to this person or selling myself to that person. It is not necessary. If only if that person can make a positive impact in your life, go for it. Go for it.
Okay. Juliet Owusu says, God bless men through men. Thank you very much. Amen for the word. Okay. So you spoke about recommending that Ghanaian friend, even though he showed a negative attitude towards you when you were in the same project or something like that. That quickly reminds me, with regard to recommendations in Canada, what would you say about recommendation in terms of securing an opportunity in an industry or a workplace? What would you say about that?
It actually works. The reason why I say it actually works is if you've actually worked in a corporate world before, what they are scared of is liability.
Okay.
Now it will get back to the reason why I said if you come from Ghana with all your experience and expertise, still companies here don't want you unless you integrate into the Canadian system. But then if somebody is able to vouch for, oh, I've worked with this person, and that person is having credibility with the organization, it then becomes an easy pass for you. When I actually got the job offer that I was talking about, I was there and my boss back in Ghana called me, hey, this company called me and then they said they want to give you an offer and they are asking so many questions about you, whether you were good, your behavior, attitude, and everything. What do you want me to say? And then we were all laughing.
You mean they
That was
called
my
your employer back home in Ghana?
back in Ghana, back in Takwa. You understand, my boss? And we're laughing about it. And like, as you know, he said like amazing things about me because they don't want any liability. They did a criminal background check about me. They reached out to RCMP. They reached out to Ghana Police Service to see if I have any outstanding, because no company wants, because once you're working with a company and you have legal issues, the company have to come to your aid and then defend you. No company will waste money if you have pending legal issues. So they want to make sure that, one, you don't have any criminal charges or whatever. That is why RCC, before they actually give you PR, they do those criminal checks just to see that you are not a criminal. Even if at some point in time they grant you the PR and later they find out that you were a criminal, they will revoke your PR. So that was it. So they did the background checks. So recommendation actually works. If I have credibility with a company, like where I'm working right now, and then maybe they say they are looking for maybe, let's say, a nurse, and I know a nurse, oh, I've worked with this person back in Ghana. We were working on this project, that project, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. If Sanfo says so, then it's fine. Let's invite the person. And then the rest is just proving yourself to the company that you can do the job that they actually have vacancy for. You get it? So recommendation actually works. Even in normal part-time jobs like this KFC, McDonald's, and things. Oh, this person, I know this person. I stay with this person. He's a very good person. Then it becomes a good catch for you. So recommendation works. And I believe there are so many people who can give that testimony that, yes, people actually recommended them and then they got the jobs that they want. So yes, like I said, and it all boils down, it brings us back to the fact that I said, speak up. If you don't speak to people about your situation, I'm not a magician to know what you're going through right now unless you tell me. If you're having a headache, how would I? Life is so private that right now, nobody even knows I've eaten or I've not eaten. Life is private. Until you do share your concerns with nobody will know. So recommendation works.
Okay. Emmanuel Kwachi says, God richly bless you, Sanfo. And with regards to the recommendation, I am also a living testimony. The job I'm doing outside campus now, I was actually recommended by a Ghanaian friend, and I got in after I successfully passed my interview. So yes, recommendation works perfectly. Okay. What are your final closing remarks to our listeners and our audience out there? People want to begin their study abroad journey. Some have tried and they failed. Others have issues with regards to finances. Some they are just at the point of giving up. What are your final closing remarks to all these people who are listening to us out there?
In life, there's nothing like failure. Failure only becomes a word if you give up. Then it means, yes, failure has materialized. You understand? In French, impossible is not a French word. Nothing is impossible. Everything is possible. It all depends on the effort that you put in. But you see, sometimes some of us, like, let me put it this way, when it comes to relationship, when you make a move on a woman and say, hey, I'm not interested, that's it, then you lose it. And some women who actually understand it, because, are you just giving up on me? Won't you pursue me? You understand? Because they want you to. So there are some people, when they get the first denial, that is it. They won't go again. But then what I know is everything is God's time. Maybe the first time that you got a denial, maybe God was cooking something good for you. So that wasn't the right time. Then the right time was for you to sit down and have a good reflection about yourself and then refire again. So the failures will come. But then it is up to you to accept that, yes, you are a failure in life. You need to keep pushing and you don't have to give up. The other thing is we all have to stay positive. Understand? Me, like as I'm sitting here, I don't bitch about people. Like, I'm not depressed because the more you think about what somebody said or somebody is doing, the more depressed you become. Like I'm a free person, so I design my own happiness. So just be positive and then, just have that vibe with people. You need people no matter what. Because even if you are sick and you go to the hospital, it's not goats that you'll be meeting at the hospital. It's definitely human beings. So, and if you don't tell the doctor what you are actually suffering from, how would he be able to help you solve it? So just speak up, talk to people, maintain that cordial relationship with people. Because if not today, maybe tomorrow you might need them. And we don't know where we'll be meeting each other. We started our relationship back in 2022, but it was only in 2024 that we got to meet in person,
All
right?
right.
But
Yeah.
we've known ourselves like we are like twin brothers. We're talking, and finally, so we don't know where and then when life will actually throw you to meet someone. You get it? So for me, I always maintain that good relationship with people. And with this Japan movement, like I said, now there have been changes. Canada is becoming like a hard nut to crack. It doesn't mean the gate is closed. Definitely the good times will come again. It's seasonal, like it happens, these things happens. But now I know even if you do whatever you want to do and then denial comes, it doesn't mean just take time, relax, and then give yourself some time. When the right time comes, then you fire. And if Canada is not working, there are other areas. Somebody actually went through Germany to UK and then came back to Canada. Somebody actually went to the US and then came to Canada. So if one door closes, another door opens. So you don't just have to cast your net at one side of the lake. Just spread it. If you don't catch salmon here, you actually catch tuna on the other side or a crab on the other end. So don't limit yourself to only Canada. And accept that failing is part of the process. And when God, blesses you and you get an opportunity to come this side too, please, the fact that you get to Canada doesn't mean that is the end of the world for you. So you are the boss or you are whatever. No matter who you are, or no matter the boss you are, you realize that that's why I like white. They don't care about who you are. You see, black people like, you know who I am? Who cares? Nobody cares about who you are. No matter what you have, somebody has the better version of that. Whatever you are possessed, like whatever you feel like you are boasting about that you have, somebody has better version of that than you. So we just have to be nice to each other and then that strong collabo. Me, my intention was we having a very solid family. When I come to Winnipeg, I come to your side.
Yeah.
You cook for me. That's all we care about.
I
Maybe
don't,
tomorrow we'll
I don't
meet in
cook for you.
Vancouver.
I don't cook for you.
You cook
Juliet,
for me.
Juliet cooks for
You
you,
only
not
cook for me. Yes, I eat. You understand? That is all that we are looking out for. I remember Winnipeg, one of my senior men said, hey, I'm going to Vancouver, but it pains me that you are not in Vancouver. I said, don't worry, just phone call. He had the special treat of his life and was like, hey, Charlie, you understand? That is the reality. If I want to go to Toronto right now, I just call one of my guys, Charlie, I'm coming down. Oh, don't worry, accommodation. I remember when I went to Toronto, Elijah said, don't worry, chairman, I've booked Airbnb for you. Somebody will say, oh, Charlie, I've cooked for you, come and eat. That is the beautiful aspect of it. Because I don't have my father here, I don't have my mother here, I don't have my sister here. We are own brothers and sisters and family. But when we come here, the disunity is very bad. That's why I like Punjabis. Punjabis, you always see them, they come like a collective pack, always moving
Is
together.
it the Indians?
The Indians,
Okay.
Punjabis, the people with the turban. So me, I'm the black Punjabi. They're always like this. But everybody, once we come here and we get iPhone 16 Pro Max and we get the airport, we feel like we are in heaven, and that is it. You understand? And it's causing a lot of problems for us, but then people don't get to realize it until we get to the D-Day. Because maybe a time will come, you will need me. That is why I also show you Pepe. So we always want to pay people with the deeds, whatever they did, we want to pay them with their own coin, which is not nice. Should just stop bitching, get together, and then win together. So that's what I have to say.
Okay.
That's all,
Richard,
Steve.
Richard Kichi says, nice interview. Recommendation works great here. Then Owusu Asari says, boss, recommendations in Canada works more than Indeed and even Job Bank.
Oh, forget Indeed and Job Bank. Indeed, you forget them.
Nana Kwesi says, big up Sly and Sanfo. Nice work and lots of advice. God bless you. Regina Mensa says, God bless you for this. Dorcas also says, thank you for this interview. Giving up is not an option. God day, we day. God bless you guys. Amen. So just to put this across, We actually have a platform that is a WhatsApp page and a Telegram page, which we share information and help people through this JAPA journey. Be it US, be it Canada, be it Europe, be it Germany, there is a common platform where we meet, we have meetings, we have discussions, we bring in people who have gone through the process to give their practical advice and recommendations as well. So if you're interested in joining, just find my name, Sylvester Delali, on either on Facebook, I go by Sylvester Delali, or you can message my channel, that is the Delali Network, on either X or Facebook as well. And just introduce yourself. Let me know you want the link to these platforms, and I'll send you the link so that you can join the page and learn from there. And in fact, those pages have actually helped over 300 people to get to Canada since the time we began till now. And people are still getting their visas approved, even though things are very tough. But still, some few people are still getting their visas approved. I advise you not to give up in this journey because sometimes it looks very tough, it looks very difficult. And as he said, when you are denied, then it looks like you want to give up. Please never give up. We have come to the end of today's session. And in my next session, I'm bringing you someone from USA. We are going to meet with a person, and he's actually taking applied statistics in one of the universities in Dakota. So prepare and let's meet for that interview in the coming week. Don't forget to keep on sharing the link and also recommending my channel to people who want to study abroad. And I also advise that you keep the Vim up, don't give up, and in all, just know that you are going to succeed. It's very, very tough, but trust me, once you don't give up, once you put in the work, it's going to pay. So take care, have a nice day. Bye bye.
Right.